The second I locked down a game-changing $100 million investment to save my company, I walked into the office to face the most humiliating betrayal of my life. The CEO's scheming assistant wore a smug, triumphant grin, spreading vicious rumors that my own boss was planning to demote and exile me to the freezing, desolate Anchorage branch in remote Alaska. I clutched the signed investment contract tightly and marched straight into the CEO's private office, ready to confront the truth. Later that night, I gently massaged my wife's shoulders, tossing out a casual joke masked with quiet disbelief. "You'll never believe the office gossip going around right now," I said softly. "Word is you're planning to ship me off to the freezing Alaska branch out of nowhere." No one in the entire company knew the shocking secret we'd hidden for 7 long years. We were legally married, and we'd finally planned to go public with our relationship very soon. My wife, Harper Blaine, showed zero surprise at my words, not even a flicker of guilt. She brushed my hands off her shoulders with a cold, patronizing smile that sent a chill straight through my chest. "It's not gossip, Ethan. It's true," she said flatly, no room for argument. "Chase messed up a critical company project. And the board is breathing down my neck to punish someone for the loss. He's far too fragile to survive the harsh, frozen wasteland of Alaska," she continued coldly. "He lacks your resilience, your grit, and your ability to bounce back from catastrophic failure. If I send him there, his entire career will be over before it even truly starts," she justified ruthlessly. "You have to understand he's my junior from college and I can't bear to watch his life fall apart. When you come back from this short trip, I'll publicly announce our marriage to the whole world," she promised casually. "I'll even give you the family you've always dreamed of, complete with a child of our own." A bitter, mocking laugh burst out of me the second I heard her hollow, self-serving promises. I spun on my heel without another word and walked out on the woman I'd loved and sacrificed everything for. I pulled out my phone immediately and dialed the number of our biggest corporate rival without hesitation. "Are you still looking for a qualified vice president? I'm coming on board, and I'm bringing a $100 million investment with me. I only have one non-negotiable condition," I stated firmly, my voice stripped of all emotion. "Never send me to rot in Alaska's freezing wilderness." The person on the other end paused for a beat, then let out a low, amused sigh of disbelief. "I've always put you on the highest pedestal possible. Why on earth would I let you waste your talent out in the snow and wind?" I was used to Harper's smooth, manipulative sweet talk, so I cut straight to the point with zero patience left. "When can I officially start working for your company?" "Anytime you want," the rival CEO replied instantly. "Who in their right mind would banish a top talent like you to Alaska?" Did Harper truly agree to this absurd arrangement? "Didn't she just vow to go public with your marriage after you cleaned up Chase Miller's costly mess?" they questioned in shock. I dodged their probing questions, my voice low and devoid of any extra explanation. "Just be fully prepared to receive my $100 million investment soon," I instructed plainly. After ending the call, I pulled up the company's internal portal and submitted my formal resignation on the spot. Back at my desk, I grabbed a plain cardboard box and began packing up my personal belongings slowly. The office door stayed wide open, and every colleague nearby craned their necks to watch my humiliating departure. Encouraged by the company's obvious bias against me, several co-workers marched straight over to gossip openly. "Ethan, everyone knows Alaska's working conditions are absolutely brutal and unforgiving." The last person transferred there came back skeletal, with cracked, raw skin and broken spirits, one colleague warned. "You've stuck by Harper's side for 7 whole years, can't you just beg for mercy and save yourself?" "This is what happens when you cross Chase Miller," another employee chimed in judgmentally. "Everyone needs to learn the lesson. Chase is Harper's clear favorite and no one dares stand in his way." Harper never even tried to hide her blatant favoritism toward Chase Miller for a single second. That's why every coworker felt emboldened to bully and isolate me on his behalf for months on end. I was just about to clarify that I was packing up because I'd quit the company entirely. Chase strutted triumphantly out of the CEO's office, radiating arrogance and victory. He puffed out his chest proudly, deliberately flaunting his brand-new vice president badge for everyone to see. "Ethan buddy, there's no need for you to rush and pack up your things like this. Don't worry too much," he said with fake kindness. "When you get back from Alaska, I'll definitely hand this office back to its rightful owner." Every gaze in the room instantly shifted to the smug young man, filled with fawning admiration and envy. Everyone finally understood Harper's cruel plan all along. She demoted me and sent me to Alaska solely to reserve the VP position for Chase. The entire office buzzed with whispers, gushing over the so-called perfect bond between Harper and Chase. They praised their rumored office romance as genuine and heartfelt, completely oblivious to the truth. Yet just months prior, Harper had strictly forbidden all office relationships, calling them unprofessional and tacky. For our entire 7 years of secret marriage, she'd never let anyone whisper a single word about us. Once, I simply brought her hot tea and painkillers to ease her menstrual cramps, and a coworker teased us. She flew into a furious rage that day, slashing every employee's monthly bonus in half out of petty anger. That single incident left me completely socially isolated from the entire company for weeks. But now, she happily let endless romantic rumors fly between her and Chase. She even claimed workplace crushes boosted morale for the younger staff, making it acceptable. I couldn't help but feel like the biggest fool alive for devoting 7 years of my life to this woman. Chase let out a soft, fake cough to draw everyone's attention back to his pretend humility. "Don't all talk nonsense," he waved off the crowd's praise falsely. "Harper only gave me this VP title to calm my nerves after the project failure. Unlike Ethan here, I didn't grind 6 long years to earn this position legitimately," he lied shamelessly. "The real hard work and achievement belongs entirely to him." In the next breath, he deliberately unpinned his shiny VP badge and held it out toward me. "Ethan, I've always felt like an imposter in this role. You're the one who truly deserves it." I saw right through his fake modesty. He was just baiting me, desperate for a chance to humiliate me publicly. I refused to give him the satisfaction of seeing me flustered or angry. I reached out my hand without hesitation. "If you're offering it sincerely, then I'll accept." Chase froze instantly, his fingers tightening hard around the edge of the badge in pure panic. He stammered awkwardly, unable to process my unexpected response. I tugged twice on the badge, but he refused to let go, locking us in an awkward stalemate. The sharp click of approaching high heels echoed down the hallway, and Chase's ears twitched instantly. He released the badge in a split second, scrambling to put on his perfect victim act. He grabbed a full cup of water from the nearby desk and splashed it all over his own head. Then he dropped to his knees on the floor, staring up at me with fake tear-filled eyes. "Ethan, I'm so sorry," he whimpered pathetically. "I was genuinely trying to give the position back to you. Why did you splash water on me?" It was the most amateur, over-the-top acting performance I'd ever witnessed. Yet Harper fell for his pitiful charade every single time, no matter how obvious the lie was. She didn't bother asking a single question to figure out the truth of what just happened. She shoved me aside violently with all her strength before gently helping Chase to his feet. "Ethan, are you out of your mind, starting trouble and mutiny in front of the whole staff?" she snapped furiously. "Chase is top-tier company talent. What is your problem with him taking the VP role? How dare you bully him in front of everyone?" she demanded sharply, her voice full of rage. "Do you want outsiders to think our company is an unprofessional, chaotic sweatshop? Apologize to him right this second, or you'll face serious consequences," she ordered coldly. My lower back slammed hard against the sharp corner of the desk, shooting blinding pain through my body. I winced as the color drained from my face, stunned by her blind, unwavering favoritism. Top-tier talent, she called him? The truth couldn't be more different. A year ago, Harper went back to her university to deliver a guest speech. Chase had shamelessly added her on social media afterward, fabricating a connection out of thin air. He lied and claimed he'd audited her classes while working as a part-time delivery driver. He even labeled himself her college junior to gain her sympathy and attention. Harper praised him endlessly for his so-called ambition and drive. She insisted his rough background was just bad luck, refusing to judge him by his humble roots. She conveniently forgot my own painful past and how I'd fought tooth and nail to succeed. I grew up in impoverished projects, clawing my way out through education before meeting her in college. Before I could defend myself or expose Chase's lies, the surrounding crowd piled on to accuse me. Every colleague chimed in, testifying that I was unreasonably targeting and bullying Chase. Chase sniffled softly, leaning into his martyr act to gain more sympathy from Harper. "Harper, I know Ethan's just lashing out because he's upset about the Alaska transfer. I'm willing to endure any unfair abuse as long as he agrees to go expand the branch," he said falsely. Harper let out a long, disappointed sigh, her gaze full of pity for Chase. "You're far too soft-hearted and forgiving for your own good," she told him gently. Ethan's just jealous of your youth, your potential, and your bright future. She turned back to me, staring down at me with pure disdain and condescension. Ethan, if you apologize to Chase properly, I might let you return from Alaska in a year. If you refuse to cooperate, you can rot away in the freezing Alaskan snow for the rest of your career, she threatened coldly. She'd completely forgotten how she once looked at me with nothing but admiration and gratitude. She forgot how I taught her every skill she knew about corporate management and leadership. She forgot I'd willingly given up my own CEO promotion to hand the top position to her. She forgot how she'd tearfully promised to cherish and repay me for every sacrifice I made for her. She always preached about nurturing new company talent and giving young people chances. Yet she constantly took credit for my hard-won achievements and handed them straight to Chase. She always justified her unfair actions as building Chase's loyalty to the company. I'd spent years lying to myself, convincing myself she was just overly career-driven and ambitious. In that moment, I finally saw her blatant, cruel bias with perfect clarity. A cold, indifferent smile tugged at my lips as I ripped my company ID badge clean off my chest. "You're absolutely right, Harper," I said flatly, no anger, no sorrow left in my tone. "I'm an unclassy bully who doesn't deserve to stay in this company for another second. Anyone who's eager to freeze and eat snow in Alaska can take my place happily," I scoffed quietly. I grabbed my packed cardboard box and turned toward the office exit, ready to leave everything behind. Behind me, Harper snapped out of her rage and shouted frantically to stop me. "Stop right there. I need to check every confidential item you're taking with you." I was about to calmly explain that my box held no sensitive company materials. But she smirked wickedly, snatched every document from my box and shoved them all into the shredder. "Don't act tough and defiant in front of me," she warned sharply. "Everything in this office belongs to the company, you have no right to take a single thing. If you're leaving, leave completely empty-handed and clean," she demanded ruthlessly. She thought she was breaking my spirit and forcing me to submit to her will one last time. But she made the most devastating mistake of her entire career in that reckless moment. She had no idea she'd just shredded the $100 million investment contract that was the company's last lifeline. Chase had messed up the unit calculations in a major previous contract, costing the company millions. Even after I'd worked tirelessly to cut the penalty fees in half, the company's cash flow was crippled. I'd burned myself out for weeks securing this huge investment to save the failing business. Harper's impulsive action had single-handedly destroyed the company's only chance at survival. She'd ruined her own future and her entire company without a single ounce of regret. After walking out of the office building, I immediately called the investor, Mr. Sterling. My tone was humble and apologetic as I delivered the unexpected news. "I'm truly sorry, Mr. Sterling. There was a corporate seal error, so our contract is now void. When will you have free time to sign a brand new valid agreement with me?" I asked politely. Mr. Sterling was a legendary industry titan, notoriously hard to reach and cooperate with. We only had a connection because I'd saved his life years prior when he suffered a sudden heart attack. Without that life-saving encounter, I never would have gotten access to this massive investment. The old man sounded utterly confused on the other end of the line. "Ethan, my boy, aren't you being transferred to Alaska? I just saw your company's official announcement," he continued. "It says all your client resources are being fully transferred to a young man named Chase." My blood ran cold as I instantly realized what Harper had secretly done behind my back. I steadied my shaking voice and forced a calm laugh to hide my fury. "It's just an internal system glitch, nothing more," I lied smoothly. "I'm staying here to continue serving your cooperation full-time. I would never leave for Alaska without personally informing you first," I assured him. Mr. Sterling let out a hearty chuckle and agreed to meet me the next day. After hanging up, I struggled to suppress the boiling rage building inside my chest. I opened my phone and was flooded with dozens of panicked client messages and notifications. Every client was asking why I was being transferred to Alaska and when I'd return. The screenshots they sent me revealed Harper's hidden scheme in full. She'd posted an official announcement on her private Instagram account about my transfer. She'd publicly assigned all my high-value clients and projects to the new VP, Chase Miller. I couldn't see the post myself because she'd already blocked me on every social platform. Without a moment's hesitation, I posted a clear clarification on my own public feed. I attached a screenshot of Harper's announcement with a large fake void stamp across the entire image. My caption was short, straightforward, and impossible to misinterpret. "I'm not going anywhere. Please disregard false rumors. Business inquiries are always welcome. I replied to every anxious client one by one, my fingers trembling from exhaustion and anger. Just as I finished replying to the last message, Harper's incoming call popped up on my screen. Her tone was frantic, sharp, and filled with unbridled irritation. "Ethan, delete that post immediately," she ordered aggressively. "Do you have any idea how many people are calling Chase a fraud and dropping his services? He's crying his eyes out right now over this humiliation," she snapped. "You're leaving the company anyway, what's the point of clinging to these business resources? Chase came from nothing and worked so hard to get where he is today," she defended him fiercely. "If you had any basic humanity, you'd never treat him this cruelly. Delete the post right now or I'll officially fire you on the spot," she threatened coldly. Listening to her endless pity for Chase made every part of me feel ridiculous and nauseous. Chase had it hard? I let out a bitter, hollow laugh at her skewed sense of fairness. Did she have any clue how much I'd sacrificed and struggled for our life and company? I entertained difficult clients day and night to keep the business afloat. I cooked, cleaned, and handled every household chore without a single complaint. I resolved endless family conflicts and smoothed out every messy problem for her. And now she expected me to hand every single one of my hard-earned achievements to Chase for free? Her delusional unfairness was absolutely beyond comprehension. Harper was left speechless, unable to find a single word to refute my accusations. She quickly dropped her soft tone and switched to her cold, authoritative corporate voice. "If you can't even follow basic company restructuring rules, we have no use for you. We don't keep employees with zero team spirit in this company," she said coldly. She was once again pulling her CEO rank to pressure and bully me into submission. This time, I had zero patience left for her manipulation and hypocrisy. "Fine. Fire me right now if that's what you want," I said flatly. I hung up the call without waiting for her reply. I found the nearest print shop, printed out formal divorce papers and headed straight home. But before I could even twist the doorknob to enter our house, a pungent chili pepper stench burned my nose. I pushed the door open without hesitation, already prepared for whatever betrayal awaited me. One glance into the kitchen froze me in place with pure shock and disgust. Chase was standing in our home kitchen, untying Harper's apron and tickling her waist playfully. Harper was laughing uncontrollably, waving a cooking spatula at him like a giddy schoolgirl. The second they heard the front door open, both of their heads snapped toward me. Harper panicked for a split second and immediately pushed Chase away from her body. She rushed over to me, putting on the perfect act of a devoted, virtuous wife. She took my heavy briefcase from my hand and helped me slip off my suit jacket gently. "Why are you home so late tonight?" she asked in a soft, innocent tone. I stepped sideways to avoid her fake affectionate gestures, my tone dripping with sarcasm. "Looks like I showed up at the worst possible time tonight." Chase let out a casual, smug laugh and tried to ease the tense atmosphere. "No worries, Ethan, you're right on time. I was just helping Harper with dinner." "Don't misunderstand what you saw just now," he added falsely. Chase was the only person in the entire company who knew Harper and I were married. Harper had always been secretive and guarded with everyone else. But she'd never hesitated to share our private life and secrets freely with Chase. This was the very first time I'd ever discovered Harper was capable of cooking at all. For 7 whole years, I was the sole person cooking every meal for our household. She knew full well that the smell of cooking oil and smoke made me violently nauseous. Years of endless business dinners and heavy drinking had left me with a severe perforated ulcer. Yet she'd always pouted and claimed she only loved the food I made for her. She'd manipulated me into cooking 3 meals a day, every single day for 7 years straight. I'd never once suspected she could cook this well, or that she'd cook for another man. Chase knew all about my severe stomach condition and food sensitivities perfectly well. Yet he deliberately spoke up with a fake friendly smile to provoke me. "Ethan, I brought these super spicy peppers from my hometown, they're absolutely delicious. Why don't you sit down and eat with us?" he asked falsely. "Are you looking down on the food I prepared for your wife?" I refused to sit down and play along with their twisted charade. I kept my eyes locked firmly on Harper, cutting straight through all their fake pleasantries. "I don't drop by without reason," I said coldly. "Just tell me what you two are planning to do next." Harper smiled gently, pulling a train ticket out of her pocket and pressing it into my hand. "I'm sorry about the Instagram post earlier, I shouldn't have reassigned your clients without asking you. Chase said he wants to earn his achievements through his own hard work anyway," she lied smoothly. Tonight's a farewell dinner for you. I bought you a train ticket for tomorrow night's departure, she continued softly. Once you come back, we'll announce our marriage in the most grand way possible. Before I could respond to her hollow promises, Chase raised his glass in a fake toast. Cheers to you, Ethan. Thanks for lending me your bedroom. I'll take excellent care of all your things in this house while you're gone, he said smugly. Harper instantly grew nervous and rushed to smooth over his careless words. Chase's apartment lease just expired, she explained quickly. Your room's going to be empty while you're away, so it's fine to let him stay temporarily. I knew the real truth behind her excuse all too well. I often worked late nights typing reports at my desk, and she'd always complained about the noise. She'd forced me to move into the guest room years ago to avoid disturbing her sleep. Over time, the cold, lonely guest room became my permanent place in our own home. I'd visited Chase's apartment before. It was a spacious, nice two-bedroom unit. Meanwhile, Harper and I once lived in a tiny windowless basement, cramped and miserable. We'd endured every hardship together back when we had nothing at all. I'd always thought love meant enduring tough times side by side and cherishing each other. But now I realized I'd just been foolishly indebted to a woman who never cherished me. She was desperate to kick me out permanently to make space for Chase in our home. The train ticket in my hand was for a brutal 43-hour hard-seat ride across the country. She truly didn't care if I suffered or even collapsed from exhaustion on the journey. I tore the ticket into tiny shreds and stared at her with unmasked disappointment. Harper, do you not understand plain English? I quit my job. I'm not going to Alaska. Chase pretended not to hear my words, turning calmly toward the bedroom. He wheeled out a small suitcase he'd already packed full of my belongings. I've already packed all your luggage for you, Ethan, he said sweetly. If you need anything sent to Alaska, just let me know and I'll ship it over. Harper's expression softened instantly, and she shook my arm in a childish pout. Honey, I'd never really let you suffer out there alone. Just stay in Alaska for 2 short days and I'll find an excuse to call you right back, she promised. She'd always used this exact manipulative tactic. Slap me once, then soothe me 3 times. I'd compromised and forgiven her countless times for the sake of our love in the past. But right now, all I felt was overwhelming exhaustion and complete disillusionment. I unzipped the suitcase without a single word, ready to see what tricks they'd played. A tattered, shredded-down jacket tumbled out, broken feathers floating all over the floor. I let out a cold, mocking laugh at the deliberate insult. Chase, is this how you kindly pack my luggage for me? Harper looked briefly surprised but immediately rushed to defend him. He didn't mean any harm. He's just a kind kid trying to help out. Don't be so harsh on him, she chided me. You can teach him slowly, there's no need to yell over a little mistake. I found her excuse utterly ridiculous and laughable. Chase was already 29 years old, only 1 year younger than me. He was a grown adult, not a naive child to be coddled and excused. Chase's eyes welled with fake tears as he bowed his head in false apology. I'm so sorry, Ethan, he whimpered. I grew up doing heavy farm work, so my hands are rough and clumsy. I ruined your nice clothes. I'll pay you back for every single damage, I promise, he lied. Despite his apologetic words, he deliberately kicked over the nearby trash can with a loud bang. The sudden crash made me frown deeply, my temper flaring to the breaking point. But my gaze froze the second I saw the broken items spilling out of the trash can. Inside were the custom slippers I'd bought for Harper, my daily water cup, our old photo album. Even our vintage digital camera, all maliciously cut in half, smashed and destroyed completely. Every precious memory we'd built was ruined on purpose. Chase's eyes glinted with hidden triumph, even as he kept up his meek, innocent act. I broke these things by total accident, he claimed falsely. Harper said all these old items were trash you planned to throw away anyway. I'm just helping you declutter your old junk, he added. You should thank me. I turned my gaze slowly to Harper, waiting for her judgment on our shattered memories. She nodded casually, completely indifferent to the destroyed treasures. It's just cheap, worthless junk. I told you to throw it all away ages ago. Chase is just helping you move on from useless old things, she said dismissively. A wave of bitter sorrow flooded my heart, and my lips curved into a sarcastic smile. She'd completely forgotten what these broken items meant to us. These were the only treasures we owned during our poorest, hardest days together. After graduation, I turned down multiple high-paying overseas tech job offers. I did it all because she begged me to stay and start a small business with her. Back then, we were two ordinary people with no family background or connections in the big city. We had absolutely no one to rely on except each other. To lift her spirits on our first company anniversary, I donated plasma 10 times in a row. I scraped together every penny just to buy that cheap secondhand digital camera. I told her I wanted to record every tough moment for our future successful days. That camera held every precious memory of our struggling but happy early years. It held memories of sweltering summers with no AC, riding the subway just for cool air. It held memories of cheap all-day dates and quiet New Year's Eves eating instant noodles together. I still remembered how she'd secretly slipped her half of the only sausage into my bowl. She used to cry while looking at those photos, repeatedly promising to repay me for all my sacrifices. But once the company went public and she gained fame and status, everything changed. On the ribbon-cutting day, I pulled out the old camera to capture her big moment. She'd slapped the camera right out of my hand, calling it embarrassing and cheap trash. Now she'd let Chase smash our last remaining memories without a single ounce of remorse. She was right about one thing, though. Our 7-year marriage had been broken and rotten long before this moment. It was finally time for me to let go and declutter this toxic relationship for good. Seeing the sheer sorrow in my eyes, Harper finally recalled the meaning of those items. She avoided my gaze awkwardly, trying to fix the situation weakly. "Don't hold this against Chase. I'll buy you brand new, better things later." I shook my head silently and pulled the printed divorce papers out of my briefcase. "Harper, sign this." She frowned impatiently, refusing to face the end of our marriage. "I don't handle serious business matters during dinner hours." I spoke in a calm, unwavering tone, no longer affected by her mood. "It only takes one signature. It won't waste any of your time." Perhaps guilt flickered in her heart for a split second. She reluctantly took the papers. The second her eyes landed on the words, "divorce agreement," her whole body froze. Her fingers trembled violently as she stared at the document in shock. Chase leaned over to peek at the title, and the corners of his mouth lifted in wild joy. Harper snapped back to reality instantly, her gaze turning ice-cold and furious. "You're threatening divorce just because Chase threw away some useless old junk? Nobody's perfect, Ethan. You're being incredibly petty and unreasonable right now," she snapped. I stared at her flatly, my heart completely empty of all love and emotion. "I'm not threatening you. I'm ending this for good. You can hand out high-ranking titles and special favors to Chase openly now." Harper burst out in angry laughter, her eyes frosty with rage. "I knew you had a dirty, petty mindset all along. Chase is just my innocent college junior," she defended fiercely. "What's wrong with me helping a hard-working young kid? If someone had helped us back then, we never would have suffered so much," she argued. "Don't try to scare me with a divorce threat. I don't buy your childish bluff." "I was actually planning to announce our marriage after you came back from Alaska," she snapped. "But now you've disappointed me far too much. That plan is completely cancelled." Chase quickly jumped in to fan the flames and fuel Harper's anger. "Harper, Ethan's just throwing a tantrum because he doesn't want to go to Alaska. If this is causing conflict, I'll volunteer to go in his place to keep everyone happy," he pretended to sacrifice. Harper's gaze turned even colder after hearing his fake selfless words. She grabbed Chase's arm tightly and marched toward the front door, glaring daggers at me. "Ethan, if you insist on pushing Chase out, I have no other choice. I'll buy him a luxury condo and move in personally to take care of him full-time," she threatened. Her hand rested lightly on the doorknob as she waited for my reaction. She expected me to panic, grow jealous, and beg her to stay like I always had before. She waited for me to admit I was wrong and agree to all her unfair demands. I took a single step forward, and a flash of hopeful joy crossed her face. She thought I was going to reconcile and beg for our marriage. Instead, I pulled the door wide open and gestured for them to leave. "If you're set on leaving, please go ahead." My straightforward response caught her completely off guard. She squeezed Chase's hand so hard he let out a pained yelp. She stared at me furiously, snapping "fine" 3 times in a row before storming out. The second I closed the front door, my phone pinged with a new system notification. Harper had officially approved my resignation request without hesitation. Her anger was real, and she'd cut me off completely without a second thought. The next morning I arrived early at the scheduled cafe to meet Mr. Sterling. I was fully prepared to finalize the $100 million investment deal with Harper's biggest rival company. I was scanning the menu when a soft knock sounded on the glass window beside me. I lifted my head and my eyes landed on Harper and Chase standing outside. They walked straight into the cafe, Harper's expression arrogant and confrontational. "Ethan, are you stalking me? Where did you find out I was coming here for a business partnership meeting?" she demanded. Chase was dressed in an expensive tailored suit, looking like a nouveau riche upstart. Harper ordered a $20,000 bottle of luxury wine, pushing it toward me mockingly. "I've never taken you to such high-end places before, have I?" "You're not still mad at me over yesterday's little incident, right?" she asked falsely. It was true. Ever since my ulcer diagnosis, she'd never once taken me to fancy dinners. I simply frowned and checked my watch, utterly uninterested in their drama. "It's just a coincidence. I'm here for official business. Could you two please leave and stop disrupting my meeting?" I asked coldly. Right after I spoke, Mr. Sterling walked into the cafe, spotting us instantly. He glanced at Harper and Chase surrounding me in confusion. "Who are these two people, Ethan?" Harper snapped out of her arrogance and rushed forward to shake his hand eagerly. "Mr. Sterling. What a pleasant surprise to see you here. If I'd known you loved this cafe, I would have booked it for you every single day," she flattered. Chase stared at me with obvious jealousy, forcing a fake polite smile. "Ethan, are you trying to win back favor by secretly hunting for new investors?" he taunted. "Harper only approved your resignation out of anger yesterday. If you perform well and apologize properly, I'll convince her to forgive you and rehire you," he boasted. He did everything he could to show off his special, privileged status with Harper. Harper nodded in obvious satisfaction at his words, fully backing his arrogance. Mr. Sterling watched their childish display and turned to me in confusion. "Ethan, who exactly am I negotiating this investment deal with today?" he asked. Harper immediately shoved me aside rudely, blocking me completely from view. "Mr. Sterling, Ethan holds no valid company rank anymore," she said confidently. "He's just my subordinate and he's being transferred to Alaska tonight. He has no time for follow-up investment work," she lied smoothly. "I'm Harper Lane, company CEO, and this is our new Vice President Chase Miller. We'll be the ones discussing all cooperation details with you," she finished proudly. Even at this critical moment, she was still desperate to glorify Chase's false achievements. I was just about to step forward and clarify the entire situation. A charming, sultry female voice suddenly sounded from directly behind me. "Harper, have you truly become this shameless? Are you really trying to poach my vice president and steal my signed business deal?" Harper's face twisted with irritation the second she heard her rival's voice. She spun around quickly to face the new arrival. A tall, slender woman with stunning beauty and elegant aura stood at the cafe entrance. She looked more like a supermodel or A-list actress than a corporate CEO. Chase's eyes widened instantly, staring at her in blatant infatuation, almost drooling. Catching Harper's dark, furious expression, he quickly tried to backtrack. "Who is this? Don't randomly claim connections with our company's VP," he snapped falsely. Harper spoke in a cold, emotionless tone, glaring at the woman. "Felicity, Mr. Sterling's appointment is with Ethan, not you. What does this have to do with Vance Corp?" Felicity Faye Vance walked gracefully over to my side. Her slender fingers gently brushed against the tie on my suit jacket playfully. "Ethan, what's going on here?" she asked with a playful pout. "I'm not late for our meeting, am I? Are you really planning to give this huge deal back to your old employer?" "Naughty boy," she teased. She'd always loved using this playful, flirty act whenever she ran into me. In the past, I'd always blush awkwardly, triggering Harper's jealous rage. Harper would scream at me furiously, forcing me to swear never to contact Faye again. But now I was fully used to her tactics. I knew her playful facade was just a cover for her sharp ambition and intelligence. Everyone in the finance industry knew the bitter rivalry between Faye and Harper. They were once hailed as the two golden girls of the financial world. During a fierce project competition years ago, Faye had won the deal handily. She'd mocked Harper ruthlessly, calling her a classless hillbilly with no taste. She'd even said the entire deal was worth less than loose change falling from a father's hand. Faye was born into extreme wealth and privilege, the spoiled only child of a tycoon family. After that public humiliation, Harper had actively avoided all cooperation with Faye. Faye only grew more interested, fighting Harper for every single project and talented employee. She tried to poach me countless times over the years. She'd promised to treat me 100 times better than Harper ever did. But I'd always refused her offers, loyal to my wife and our company back then. In that moment, I finally realized how stupid and blind my loyalty had been all along. I gently pushed Faye's hand away and clarified the truth calmly. I have no intention of giving the deal back to my old company. They're the ones falsely claiming connection to my investment project, I explained. Faye nodded in obvious satisfaction, shifting her mocking gaze to Chase and Harper. I used to think you had decent taste back then, Harper, she scoffed openly. You had Ethan, the most loyal, capable subordinate in the entire industry. I never thought you'd lose your eye for talent this badly, she continued. Your taste is truly low class now, settling for someone like this. Chase, who'd been staring at Faye in dumbfounded admiration, instantly flew into a rage. He tugged Harper's sleeve aggrievedly, putting on his victim act again. Harper, who is this rude woman? He whined. Why is she insulting me for no reason? She seems far too close to Ethan. Harper finally tore her jealous gaze away from Faye's playful contact with me. She spoke coldly, defending Chase blindly. Faye, don't be sour just because you can't get what you want, she snapped. Chase is young, educated, and extremely talented. How dare you say he's inferior to Ethan? She challenged fiercely. She shot me a subtle, threatening glare that clearly promised punishment when I got home. Mr. Sterling grew annoyed at their childish bickering and cleared his throat loudly. Enough of this. Ethan, who am I doing business with today? I quickly stepped past the blocking pair of Harper and Chase, smiling warmly at Mr. Sterling. Mr. Sterling, this is Felicity Vance, CEO of Vance Corp., and she's my current boss. Faye's face lit up with a bright smile. Uncle Sterling, I only get the honor of meeting you today thanks to Ethan. Mr. Sterling had an easygoing, generous personality. He never treated Faye differently despite her prestigious family background. Seeing that I was the one who secured this high-level meeting, Faye gave me a discreet thumbs up. I smiled politely and spoke up to end the messy confrontation. Mr. Sterling, there are too many irrelevant people disrupting us here, I said. Let me take you to a quiet private room to discuss the investment details thoroughly. Mr. Sterling trusted me completely and agreed without hesitation. He'd witnessed Harper and Chase's unreasonable behavior and felt sympathetic toward me. He patted my shoulder firmly, speaking words that shocked everyone present. Ethan, I don't care who your boss is. This $100 million investment is solely for your ability and your sake, he stated clearly. The second those words left his mouth, Harper and Chase froze completely in shock. Harper's composure shattered instantly, her eyes wide with disbelief. She grabbed my sleeve tightly, refusing to let me leave. Ethan, $100 million? She stammered in shock. Are you really giving this massive investment to Faye's company? She couldn't finish her sentence because I shot her a cold, disgusted glance. She'd never once seen pure loathing in my eyes during our 7 years together. While they stood there stunned and speechless, I escorted Mr. Sterling to Faye's luxury car. We headed straight to a high-end restaurant's private room for formal negotiations. I knew we couldn't stay in public. Harper would never stop harassing us. Faye and I worked together in perfect sync throughout the entire negotiation process. We amused Mr. Sterling with sincere, professional communication, making him laugh constantly. Within just 2 hours, we successfully finalized and signed the $100 million partnership deal. After personally seeing Mr. Sterling off safely, I headed back to the restaurant. I found Faye cornered by Harper and Chase at the private room entrance. Harper was gripping Faye's arm tightly, refusing to let her escape. Where's Ethan? Where did you hide him? She demanded frantically. Chase was pacing anxiously, searching every corner for Mr. Sterling. Where's the investor? What did you two do with him? I rushed forward without hesitation, pulling Harper away from Faye forcefully. I stood firmly in front of Faye, shielding her completely from their harassment. Harper rubbed her wrist exaggeratedly, staring at me with aggrieved eyes. Ethan, why did you push me so hard? You hurt my arm. Faye watched her fake soft act with obvious amusement and mockery. To the public, Harper was always known as the cold, ruthless career-focused CEO. Chase grew frantic and accusatory, pointing fingers at me angrily. Ethan, how could you side with an outsider? You just handed a $100 million deal to Vance Corp. That's unforgivable, he shouted. Faye blinked innocently, pretending to be confused by their anger. Ethan is my official vice president now, she said calmly. Isn't it normal for him to secure investments for my company? "Why are you two overreacting like this?" she questioned casually. Harper exploded in rage at her words. "Shut up. Ethan is my vice president. He's always been mine," she screamed. "He's only doing this to spite me on purpose." Harper took a deep breath, forcing a gentle tone as she spoke directly to me. "Ethan, I'll overlook today's incident completely. Just convince Mr. Sterling to invest in our original company instead," she bargained. "I'll be generous and won't punish you for your reckless behavior." I couldn't help but let out a sarcastic laugh at her delusional words. "Harper, I formally resigned from your company a long time ago. What right do you have to punish or discipline me anymore?" I asked flatly. Harper's face filled with pure shock at my unyielding attitude. Faye suddenly leaned her head playfully on my shoulder, adding fuel to the fire deliberately. "Harper, Ethan is so handsome and incredibly capable. Thank you so much for firing him and sending him to me," she smiled brightly. "Once he's fully on board, I'll send you a formal thank you email." Harper's fists clenched tightly at her sides, her nails digging deep into her palms. She gritted her teeth viciously, staring daggers at Faye. "Faye, get your head off his shoulder at once," she snapped. "Don't you know Ethan is a married man?" She then turned her resentful gaze back to me. "Ethan, do you have any self-respect as a married husband? How can you be so intimate and casual with another woman in public?" she accused. Even in this moment, she still refused to publicly acknowledge our marriage. I laughed coldly, pointing straight at her and Chase. "Are you seriously lecturing me about public decency?" Harper's face drained of all color in an instant, turning deathly pale. Chase tried to shift the blame and change the subject aggressively. "Ethan, don't deflect the problem," he shouted. "It's obvious how close you are to Faye. Vance Corp has been threatening to overtake our company recently," he accused falsely. "Did you leak our company's core secrets to get this new job?" His eyes burned with jealous malice, desperate to ruin my new opportunity. He couldn't stand seeing me succeed after he'd stolen my position and my wife. I kept my expression calm and unwavering, no longer affected by his slander. "Chase, instead of wasting time spreading rumors, you'd better hurry up and prepare for Alaska. Otherwise, once the board sees you lingering uselessly at headquarters," I warned. Before I could finish my sentence, Chase panicked and turned to Harper for help. "Harper, what do I do now?" he asked fearfully. Harper snapped back to reality, putting on a confident front to comfort him. "Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you," she promised firmly. "There are plenty of people willing to take the Alaska transfer in your place." She then shot me a vicious, threatening glare. "As for this disloyal traitor, I'll make sure your life is far from easy. Isnera coldly her imtilurets. Harper, you're going to be the one suffering first, not me." Harper frowned deeply, dismissing my words as empty curses. "You think you can threaten me? I run a listed company with thousands of employees under my command," she boasted. "How could I possibly end up worse off than an ordinary wage worker like you? Do you truly think joining Vance Corp will benefit you long-term?" she scoffed. "Faye's just using you to take me down. She's selfish and cold-hearted. She'll discard you the second you're useless," she predicted falsely. "When you come crawling back to beg for my forgiveness, I'll never take you back." She was completely oblivious to the fatal crisis her company was facing. She'd relied on me for every major decision for so long that she'd forgotten all my teachings. Faye's eyes widened in shock, immediately exposing Harper's ignorance. "What nonsense are you spouting? You're the selfish one who used Ethan for 7 whole years," she shouted. "You sent your most talented VP to Alaska for a petty junior assistant. It's absolutely laughable how blind and ungrateful you are," she mocked. Buoyed by Harper's unwavering protection, Chase regained his arrogant confidence. "Enough, Ethan, stop being so stubborn and petty," he said condescendingly. "I know you're just jealous of how well Harper treats me. If you sincerely apologize to Harper, I'll persuade her to hire you back," he boasted. I had no more patience to waste on their ignorant, delusional antics. I simply took Faye's hand and turned to leave without another word. They mistook my silence for guilt and defeat, wearing triumphant smiles. Just as we turned to walk away, Harper's phone rang loudly. It was her assistant's urgent incoming call. Harper answered casually at first, but her expression quickly collapsed. Her confident smile faded, replaced by pure panic and terror. "Ms. Lane, it's a complete disaster," the assistant cried frantically. The company's entire capital account has been fully frozen. No funds can be transferred or used at all, the assistant reported desperately. Dozens of suppliers are blocking the office entrance demanding immediate payment. They've threatened to sue us for severe breach of contract if we don't settle today. Harper's voice shook with disbelief and panic. What are you talking about? How could our cash flow have such a huge problem? She shouted. Tell the suppliers I'm heading back immediately to negotiate a payment plan. Chase heard every word clearly and shook Harper's arm anxiously. Harper, what's going on? What disaster happened? Harper was completely clueless and distraught. I have no idea. Ethan always handled all company financial matters perfectly. We never had a single crisis like this before. How did everything collapse in one day? Her voice cut off abruptly as her gaze locked onto my retreating back. She rushed forward furiously, grabbing my arm tightly to stop me. Ethan, what did you do to our company? How could our capital chain suddenly break completely? She demanded. Come back right now and fix this mess immediately. I finally lost all patience and roughly shook off her hand. Harper, have you had enough of your nonsense? Your company's problems have absolutely nothing to do with me anymore, I said coldly. I resigned. I quit. I'm no longer your employee to clean up your messes. You're the CEO now and Chase is your new vice president, I reminded her sharply. You two created this financial disaster. You fix it yourselves. Go ask your precious Chase how massive a financial hole he dug for your company, I snapped. I'm done suffering in silence to clean up your endless mistakes. I don't want your rotten company and I don't want you anymore, I said firmly. We're going straight to the courthouse to finalize our divorce right now. I'd always kept my emotions stable and calm throughout every hardship. But this was the first time I'd ever yelled at her in pure anger and frustration. Seeing me break my usual calm demeanor, Harper finally panicked. She tried to pull her arm free, her voice trembling with suppressed sobs. Ethan, what are you saying? She cried. I'm your wife. We're married, there's no divorce. I froze for a second, then let out a bitter, self-deprecating laugh. I finally understood her true thoughts completely. She wasn't afraid of people knowing we were married. She was simply ashamed to be associated with me publicly. Yet earlier, when Faye showed obvious interest in Chase, she never denied it at all. A crushing wave of exhaustion washed over me, draining every last bit of my emotion. I let go of Harper's arm completely. Chase quickly pulled her away from me, shielding her like a hero. Harper avoided my eyes entirely, fleeing the restaurant in pure panic. Faye patted my shoulder sympathetically, watching the entire humiliating scene. How could Harper be so blind? She sighed. You're 10 times better than that useless Chase guy. Did she lose her sight? I laughed softly at her blunt comment. You don't even know him, so why do you hate him so much? Faye answered without a single moment of hesitation. I hate everything Harper likes. None of her choices are ever good. Except you, she added quietly, her voice almost lost in the air. I didn't catch her quiet addition, so I simply smiled and changed the subject. All right, boss, I said lightly. Hurry up and process my official onboarding paperwork. I just closed a huge $100 million deal for your company, I reminded her. Don't skimp out on my deserved commission. Faye's cheeks flushed pink and she nodded quickly in agreement. We left the restaurant together and headed back to Vance Corp's headquarters. Meanwhile, Harper and Chase rushed frantically back to their company office. The scene that greeted them chilled their blood to the core. Dozens of angry suppliers blocked the entrance, refusing to leave or back down. The company chairman had arrived for an inspection, desperately trying to mediate the conflict. Spotting Harper, the chairman's brow furrowed with extreme displeasure. You're the CEO, why weren't you in the office during this crisis? I walk in to find the entire company in utter chaos, he snapped angrily. Where is Ethan? Why isn't he here fixing this mess? He's never once been this irresponsible before in all his years here. The second his eyes landed on Chase standing beside Harper, he froze in shock. His finger trembled with rage as he pointed at Chase. Why are you still here? I explicitly ordered you to transfer to Alaska, he shouted. Chase instantly cowered behind Harper, too scared to speak for himself. Harper had no reasonable explanation to offer, so she shifted all blame to me. Chairman, this is all Ethan's fault. He suddenly quit his job and abandoned the company without warning, she lied. The chairman's face turned deathly pale in an instant. Chase seized the perfect chance to slander me completely. That's right, Chairman. Ethan colluded with Vance Corp's CEO and jumped ship to our rival company. He accused falsely. He must have stolen countless company secrets to sabotage us. He's the sole cause of this financial crisis, he shouted. You must blacklist him from the entire industry. Press charges and make him pay for all our company's massive losses. He demanded. Harper whispered a weak warning to stop his fear-mongering, but it was too late. The chairman's expression turned infinitely darker with rage. He pulled out his phone and immediately called his assistant. Notify all shareholders to withdraw their capital investment at once, he ordered coldly. Harper, you useless fool, you single-handedly drove Ethan away. Without Ethan, this company cannot survive or function. He snapped. Tell everyone to cut their losses and abandon this sinking ship. After ending the call, the chairman stormed out without another word. He was completely done with Harper's incompetent management. Harper stood frozen in place, overcome with pure terror. She knew better than anyone that shareholder distrust meant total company collapse. She rushed forward to block the chairman's path, begging desperately. Chairman Zhang, don't be so pessimistic. This is a huge listed company, we can definitely survive without Ethan, she pleaded. You appointed me as CEO, and we have plenty of talented staff. Please trust the company one more time. She begged tearfully. The chairman shot her a mocking, pitying smile. We only invested in this company because of Ethan, he revealed coldly. If he hadn't begged us to let you take the CEO position, we never would have chosen you. Do you finally understand how you got your current seat? He questioned sharply. Ethan is a man of firm principle. Once he quits, he's never coming back. Unless you bring him back to take charge immediately, all shareholders are pulling out, he warned. With that final sentence, he stormed off completely. Harper stood rooted to the spot, her entire world crumbling around her. After the company stabilized, I'd always shielded her from all hardship and pressure. I couldn't bear to see her running sales and suffering outside in the wind and rain. So I let her take the easy CEO position, only needing to sit and give simple orders. I never expected my kindness and protection to turn into her arrogant entitlement. She truly believed the company's rapid growth was all thanks to her own ability. She'd grown so overconfident that she blindly favored and trusted Chase. The chairman's brutal words finally shattered the false perfect throne she'd built for herself. The angry suppliers gave her no time to recover or think. They swarmed forward. He spoke in a haughty tone. You're nothing more than small-scale suppliers. Our company is listed on the stock exchange, so there's no way we cannot settle our debts. I'd advise you all to leave right now. Otherwise, even if we have the funds, we will refuse to make payment. He leaned in and whispered to Harper, I believe Chairman Zhang is merely bluffing to intimidate you. We are shareholders of the firm. We can simply secure new financing and pursue another listing. I have full faith in your capabilities. Staring at his ignorant, oblivious expression, Harper finally understood how absurd her choices had been. Had she lost her mind? How could she ever regard Chase as a talented partner? She said nothing at all. She lowered her stance and offered a sincere apology to the suppliers. But Chase's reckless words had enraged the group, and they refused to accept her apology. Out of other options, Harper shut her eyes and played her last remaining trump card. I am Ethan's wife. We have been married for 7 years. Can you not grant me at least this shred of trust? Surprisingly enough, the restless crowd gradually quieted down. These people could see clearly. They had witnessed my quiet, unspoken devotion to Harper countless times. They warned me repeatedly that one-sided love would never lead to a happy ending. No one imagined Harper and I were actually lawfully married. Even the office staff casually munching popcorn at their desks froze in shock. A voice rang out from the crowd, filled with doubt. Why should we believe what you claim? Harper gritted her teeth and dialed my phone number. The call connected after only a few rings. She rushed to speak urgently. Husband, please speak to these suppliers for me. From the other end of the line, my voice carried a sharp coldness. Ms. Lane, what husband are you referring to? Do not speak such nonsense. In an instant, hostile stares from every person in the crowd locked onto Harper. Her whole body trembled violently. Ethan, you once swore you would treat me well for all time. You promised you would be my knight. How can you be so cruel to me now? For a brief second, silence hung over the phone line. Then I spoke quietly. I'm on my way. Half an hour later, I arrived at the company premises. After a few brief words, I convinced the agitated suppliers to depart. Harper gazed at me with overwhelming adoration in her eyes. She threw herself into my embrace just like a vulnerable young girl. "Husband, I knew you would come through for me. I admit I was wrong. If you dislike Chase, I can dismiss him immediately. Just come with me to explain everything to the chairman." Chase watched our interaction consumed by jealousy, his teeth nearly grinding together. He stepped toward Harper, ready to tug at her sleeve. Yet Harper dodged his touch as if he carried a deadly plague. "Chase Miller, I protected you all this time because you were my junior colleague. I never expected you to wound my husband so deeply. Under these circumstances, I cannot keep you employed any longer. Go and complete your resignation procedures straight away." Harper's sudden attempt to cut all ties with him shattered Chase completely. "Harper, what were you saying not long ago? You claimed Ethan was old and unattractive, that you had feelings for me. You said you only saw him as a useful tool to exploit." Slap. Harper struck him hard across the cheek, her gaze icy and unyielding. "Who gave you permission to speak of Ethan in such a manner? Stop spouting these ridiculous lies and get out of my sight immediately." Watching Harper switch sides faster than someone flipping a page, every staff member stared in terror. They recalled how they once sided with Chase to isolate me. Everyone hung their heads, too frightened to meet my eyes. I spoke in a calm, steady tone. "Harper, there is no need for you to swear loyalty to me. I can help you resolve this crisis once, but only on one condition." Harper fixed her gaze intently on me, waiting for my next words. I spoke with complete sincerity. "That vow to stand by your side as your knight forever, I am revoking it. Starting this moment, everything between us is over permanently." With those words, I turned around and walked away. No matter how she screamed and begged for me to stay behind her back, I never glanced back. 3 months later, the divorce proceedings between Harper and me were fully finalized. Due to her infidelity throughout our marriage, she left the relationship with absolutely nothing. By that point, Harper's company had already collapsed into bankruptcy. She lacked genuine business talent, so she was forced to take low-paying menial jobs. She would never return to the lavish lifestyle she once enjoyed. Without Harper covering all his expenses, Chase had grown accustomed to reckless spending. He spiraled into a gambling addiction and was eventually beaten to death by loan sharks. Meanwhile, I continued to thrive within Vancorp. I quickly guided the company to reach brand new heights of success. I aided Faye in her bitter fight against her father's illegitimate children. She successfully secured a vast inheritance. She did not hesitate for a single moment. She transferred $1 billion directly into my account. Afterwards, she held a wedding ring crafted by a world-famous master jeweler and proposed to me. For quite a while, our story became the hottest topic of conversation across the city. Everyone mocked Harper for her foolish choices. She pushed away her own husband, only to be outshone by her rival, turning herself into a complete laughingstock. On the day of our wedding, as Faye and I exchanged wedding rings, I spotted a cleaner standing off stage who bore an uncanny resemblance to Harper. She covered her face and ran away in a hurry. But her fate was no longer any concern of mine. My future stretched forward, endlessly bright and promising. The story ends here.